best protection when it comes to hiring a contractor? Cindy?
Never pay cash.
Never pay cash. Tom?
Make sure they're licensed within the scope of work that you're needing done.
Okay, we're talking with the big guys here, the chiefs here, the ROC, talking about unlicensed contractors and contracts and how you hire a contractor. That's coming up on Joe Knows Better. I'm Joe Ducey with the Better Business Bureau, and this is Joe Knows Better. All right, I'm Joe Ducey.
And Michelle Marin with the Better Business Bureau.
And we're here with Tom Cole and Cindy Cassouse, Director and Assistant Director of the Arizona Register of Contractors. Thanks, guys, for being here. I know you're busy.
Thanks for having us.
We talked a little bit before about how busy you are. So you're seeing all the time, more and more in Arizona, growing state, just huge growth in terms of contractor licensing and people wanting contracts or licenses.
Absolutely, Joe. I think we had 625 license applications in the month of June, and so we're busy.
So you got to go through all those applications in order to see if it's justified that they get a license, right?
That's correct. There are requirements for virtually every type of license available.
Out of all these, I don't know if you even know these stats, but out of all the 625, how many do you think actually get licensed? How many are told, or can't make it, or whatever reason they don't get one? Any guess?
I don't think I have a number off the top of my head, but the majority, for sure, the majority. The ones that have trouble either have a technical deficiency in their application that has to be reviewed by one of our staff and bring them up to that compliance. It's rare to have somebody who's absolutely unqualified get through that far through the application process. Okay. So we do a lot of communication back and forth, and most of those folks that are in over their head withdraw.
And so what does that process look like, though, to an average consumer trying to identify the difference between this is important that I hire a licensed contractor? What does that getting a license process look like?
Well, we have approximately 130 different scopes of license. So that's a wide variety. Most of them are specialty licenses, and a lot of those specialty licenses are in the commercial realm. And the qualifications vary. A very basic license to be do work up to $5,000 without working on electrical and plumbing or the structure itself. That's an R62 license. You have to pass the statutes and rules exam.
Okay.
You have to pay for your bond and the application fees, and you get licensed.
Okay.
But if you want to be an electrical contractor, you have to have at least 4 years of verifiable experience.
Oh, wow.
And you have to pass the trade exam on top of those other qualifications.
Okay.
The bond will vary. The bond size will vary based on the size of your business.
Okay. So those are the reasons that people should be hiring. You talk about, hiring a licensed contractor rather than somebody. And if it's $1,000 or less, is that still the rule where they do not have to have a license, except when it comes to a certain couple of things?
Correct.
What?
Work under $1,000 doesn't require a contractor's license. It's often referred to as that Handyman Exemption. So, small projects around the house, kind of hard to stay within that $1,000 limit. So that's why Director mentioned that R62 license. We really like to promote that license as giving folks the ability to do higher dollar projects.
All right. You guys were talking about, we see the complaints that come in with Better Business Bureau. We have scam trackers. So I think 81,000 complaints a year come in around, and some of those involve home improvement. You guys, you're telling me you don't really get to hear the good stuff. Like, oh, these guys are great, man. We just want to tell you, I'm glad they're licensed. You hear the complaints too. What are you hearing? What's coming? What are some of the things that you're seeing that homeowners need to know about? Well,
I'll tell you, the scams are all over the place. And Cindy mentioned in the opening about never paying cash for a job. That's if somebody requests cash, that's a big red flag. So we see that often preying on our senior community, which is really troubling to us. Matter of fact, we participate in the Task Force Against Senior Abuse with the Attorney General's office
We're on that too.
To help combat that. That old scam where somebody shows up at your door and they've got a bunch of crushed granite in the back of their truck, and they've had too much from the previous job and they're here to give you a deal. Big red flag. Those traveling criminals are out there. They're looking to scam you. They stole the granite from someplace probably, and they're going to dump it in your yard, and that's the last you're going to see them because they want you to pay them up front.
Before you go any further on that one, that's one of the complaints that came into Contractors.
Literally.
I won't give you the names here, but two brothers came to the house stating they had excess paving and road oiling materials. They did a horrible job, stated their equipment broke down and would need to come back. They never came back. Their phone numbers did not work. They basically paid and didn't get anything for it. So, yeah, I've heard about that scam forever. It's still going on.
Common scam.
So why do you think people go for it? I guess it's the price, right? It's like, I've got this extra stuff. I'm going to give you such a deal.
It's the price. It seems like it's convenient at the time. And, you just can't beat that price, right?
Yeah.
They're quoting you a third, if not more or less. And so it seems to be too good to be true. It often is too good to be true.
If you talk to a contractor, a lot of times they'll tell you that their costs are cut in thirds, and 1/3 of their costs are the soft costs for their employees, and that's paying for the workers' compensation, paying all those administrative costs that it takes to have an employee. And these folks circumvent that. So one thing is they're not taking care of their employees properly, and that's a big concern to us as well. That we're talking about worker protections here, and licensed contractors have to follow the rules.
There's another couple here. Something else you mentioned, Tom. Money was given to him in a different circumstance, so he could start work the next day. He never showed up. I couldn't get hold of him. I confronted him. That person wrote a check for $1,700, which is basically like cash. I think you can try to stop it, but if you don't by a certain period of time, we were looking, and these are both the same company, a different person complaining. We were looking for, I say company, these guys. We were looking for repairs to be done on our house. His bid was comparable to other bids, so we took it. He needed 35% down to buy materials, never showed back up. That was cash, $1,650 and $1,700. That's a lot of money.
It is, and you'll see a lot of some of our frequent flyers or our most wanted list they have a terrible reputation of taking money down. They'll start some work. They will look like they're making progress on the outset. They'll have a problem and ask for more. And at a certain point, they'll think they've gotten what they can get out of the customer, and then they bolt. This Venegas fella that we had a big case built against.
Who's this? What's his name?
I believe his first name is Steven.
Venegas is the last name.
Venegas is the last name. He's in jail right now for scamming multiple Arizona homeowners. And we had plenty of complaints against him. Our team did a good job building the case against him, turned that over to the county attorney, and we were very gratified to find out that he's finally been held
How did he scam
accountable.
him? What did he do?
Again, he would pitch a job. Price seems right. He had the look. He's got the truck. Yeah. He's got the equipment and everything, and he's got a great line. He convinced them to hire him, takes a big cash deposit down, does some work, gets some progress made, again, runs into a problem, typically asking for more. Hey, I had a problem here. I need a little more money. Mm-hmm. And then when he decides that he's gotten what he can get out of them, then he ghosts them and they never see him again.
Okay, so does that muddy the water a little bit when they do a little work? I mean, if it's out and out, just take the money and don't do a thing. That's pretty blatant. But if they do a little bit of work, is there a gray area? Anything?
Do consumers give that more time before they reach out to you, or do they really?
It varies. But I would say if it looks like a company you believe to be legit is getting some work done, and they tell you, oh, I'm just maybe having some issues with my team or with supplies, and you believe them, they probably are a little less likely to immediately file a complaint with our office. Sure. They might wait a while. And then I think in some of the extreme situations we've seen, some of these folks really start to bully the customer or the homeowner, especially in those senior communities where they befriend them at the beginning, and then before you know it, they're almost extorting them,
We see that at BBB where the timeline, and we have limitations on how our complaint policy works, where how soon we can, or the time frame of when a complaint can be filed. And so consumers will wait a long time sometimes to file these complaints, almost on the cusp of not reaching our acceptance policy, because they just want to keep giving these contractors more chances.
Right.
So a couple things. Workmanship is one of our primary complaints, that the quality of the workmanship is not adequate. Mm-hmm. But abandonment is another big reason we get complaints, that they just stopped working or didn't start the job at all.
Yeah.
So we investigate those cases, and those sometimes evolve, particularly the abandonment claims, do evolve into that fraud and theft realm where we refer it to a local prosecuting authority to go after the folks. But if it's a legitimate company licensed in the scope of work that they've contracted for, then we try and work really hard with the two parties to get them together, to find out what the impediment to progress is and get them talking. Mm-hmm. And a lot of times we get resolution very early on in the complaint process by getting the legitimate contractor together with the customer.
You've got something to hold over their heads. You got a license. What
Absolutely.
you don't with the unlicensed.
And that's the important distinction is that we have unlicensed complaints and licensed complaints. And so, even in the unlicensed where I talked about, the bullying aspect or the extorting aspect, we wish they would file the minute they have a bad feeling or they feel like they're being dragged along. But with the licensed contractors, we do find that a majority of them want to get through that complaint process, work with their customer, just communicate better.
So if they hire an unlicensed contractor, somebody, you're not going to be able to go and get that money back probably from an unlicensed contractor, correct? But you'd want to know about the cases. What can you do in those situations?
Absolutely. So Director mentioned Mr. Venegas. It's packaging cases, yes, unlicensed, packaging these cases and evidence, as much evidence as possible for the local, county, state prosecuting agencies to really go after them.
Now, if he had a license, how would that have differed from how you handle it? Would you have tried to work with him on some of these cases? I mean, that guy, it's kind of
we would have been
maybe not a great example, but
we would have been able to start that process much sooner, and we would be able to hold his license accountable for the complaints against it. And in that instance, we've got a lot more leverage with that construction entity to try and make things right. With an unlicensed entity, like we started out talking about, it's a misdemeanor in Arizona to do construction without a license. So in that instance, it's a pretty small series of fines, and it's a very small criminal charge.
I know you guys want to talk about the recovery fund too. That's a great thing to have. What is a recovery fund, and how can people take advantage of that? And that has to be if you hire a licensed contractor.
Correct.
You get access to that, correct?
So our licensed contractors, they pay an assessment when they first apply and when they renew into the Residential Contractors Recovery Fund. And so it is a form of protection for homeowners who hire a licensed contractor, something goes wrong, be it abandonment, poor workmanship, still has to go through our license complaint process. Once our team makes the determination, the homeowner has the ability to apply for the recovery fund to recoup some of the money that they spent with that licensed contractor. There are limits on the fund and what can be paid out. It's $30,000 per project, up to $200,000 per license.
Okay.
So if we have multiple claimants against a single license, the maximum that we can compensate is $200,000 against that license. Some key points, though, that are real important. One that sticks out, and it's a problem we run into quite frequently, is the recovery fund is only an option if it's your primary home.
Okay.
So folks that have a problem with their vacation homes, secondary homes, or rental properties, those are not qualifying.
Okay.
So the law says you have to have either primary occupancy for a year or intent to occupy. And so we do a lot of back and forth on that terminology. But it's got to be your primary residence.
And it could be anything, the same things you cover. It could be abandonment. It could be taking the money, and it could be lack of quality. How's that determined?
Yep.
Yeah, abandonment. How is that determined? Lack of quality or lack of
workmanship issues.
You have inspectors who go out and say this is.
Absolutely. So it starts with our workmanship standards. We have minimum workmanship standards for all the scopes for which we issue licenses. And so that documentation's on our website, and it's very crystal clear to every provider on what's expected of them. So if we get a complaint about workmanship, then we'll set up a job site inspection where our experts go out and review what was contracted for, the progress of the work, and then make a determination. Often we'll issue a directive to the contractor. these are the deficiencies and this is what's expected of you, and they have a time frame in which to complete that. So then the clock starts and we hold them accountable for completing the work as contracted.
How important is it for a consumer to not have another third party touch that project before reaching out to the ROC for an inspection?
Extremely important. If they feel like they're in such a bind and they bring somebody else in to fix that work, the case is immediately closed because our investigator can't confirm or discern what that original contractor did versus that.
They're not looking at the
modified.
work anymore.
It's been modified.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, modification is a prime reason for us to close a claim. Another is denial of access. By the time there's a complaint like this, oftentimes communication between the homeowner or business owner and the contractor have broken down. Okay. And one of the essential elements of the complaint process is providing access to the contractor to see and understand what was complained about, and then access, once the directives are issued, access to the property to fix it.
Sure.
Okay. Let's go into some of the things. We're already at, we spent a lot. It went like this. Let's talk about some of the things people need to do, okay, and to protect themselves. So let's go over a list of things. You would say, first of all, probably check to make sure that they're licensed and within the scope, correct? That's important?
Absolutely. Oh,
no, it's okay.
Visit our website, roc.az.gov.
Right.
It is there for you every day, 24/7, our contractor search. First and foremost, plug that company name that you're considering doing business with. Look them up. Shows you how long they've been licensed, what they're scoped for, if they've had any complaints within the last 2 years against their license. You'll be able to see some history about that. If they're licensed and bona fide, they should freely give you their ROC license number that you can plug that in and take a look. I mean, that is definitely the first step.
Okay.
So another aspect is multiple bids. Get multiple licensed bids and compare each one of those to the other.
So maybe 3?
3 is a great number.
Yeah.
It really is. But I would say at least 2.
Okay.
And the fact that those bids should be close and competitive with one another and understand the scope. She mentioned license scope. If you are doing a whole home remodel and you get a bid from an electrical contractor, that electrical contractor can subcontract work out to another electrical contractor. But if they're not a general contractor, then they can't get a plumber in there. They can't get a framer in there. So understand the scope of the license of the contractor that's giving you a bid, and make sure it's online with the work you want done. It's a huge problem.
I would also say, I guess I'll add to that, the checking online, I think, as well as the license, but also checking reviews. Go to bbb.org. We've got great reviews of the businesses, and if they're accredited businesses, they have a higher standard there as well. Check out for scams, I guess. Maybe you could put the name of the company, and I always put the word scam or something there, and see if anything comes up. Then the contract itself. It should be, I mean, you guys go with those things, right? I mean, what the contract says versus what, if somebody says, well, they were supposed to do this and they didn't do anything about that. Well, it's not in your contract that way, ma'am, or correct?
And there's a section of the law dedicated to contracts.
Okay.
And there's 9 elements to a contract. And they all have to be there for the contract to be lawful.
Give me all 9 right now.
I'm not going to do that for you, Joe. I'll look it up. That's the beauty of this. We don't have to memorize it, but we need to know where to look in the book.
I have no idea what
We have it on the website as well.
It starts with simple things like the name of the contractor, the name of the customer, the scope of the work to be done, the time frame under which the work is agreed upon to be done, the price, the payment schedule. We don't regulate in most terms the payment schedule, but if you're doing a swimming pool, it's regulated how much they can ask for down.
Yeah.
And
which is that 1,500? Did they go up to? I can't remember.
No, you can't.
A certain amount.
I think it's 25% of the total contract is the most they can ask for down. And then there's progressive payments for progress during the project. So once they get to rebar and shotcrete, then another payment can be. So
that was something the legislature must have done at a time maybe when people were being taken advantage of
Absolutely.
for pools at that time.
All these laws are in here for a reason.
Yeah.
But
What
contracts shouldn't have any blanks in them either, right? Consumers, when you talk about contracts, there should be no blank spaces.
No, the 9 elements should all be present. But by the way, the 9th element, the one that we're seeing not as often complied with as we would hope, is that the contact information for the Registrar of Contractors needs to be on that document. Wow. So if you have a problem, you can contact us. One of the other things I would like to mention is if you're in a project and you've contracted properly with a licensed contractor and you're concerned about how the project started or where you're at midpoint, we have a building confidence program where you can reach out to us and say, listen, I'm just concerned with the way this thing's going. And this isn't just for the homeowner. This is also for...
This is bid process. Not
this is in the process. You've already signed a contract.
Okay.
Work has already
I didn't know
started.
You had that.
Yeah, that's good info.
Building confidence. And we have contractors ask for a building confidence visit because they have a bad feeling about how the relationship's going with the customer. But we'll come out and we'll do an assessment of the contract and how you're doing and give you that assessment of where we think you're at.
Now, is that free? Do you pay for that? What's the...
No, it's part of the process,
Okay.
and it's not considered an official complaint.
Okay.
It's prior to that. Certainly, it could lead to a formal official complaint, but we're happy to come out, do that assessment of where you're at, and give you the customer or the contractor that confidence that they're on the right track.
Okay. Yeah, I think it's great. I know this is a subject, well, I guess we could end with a subject that you guys don't always kind of pin you down on this, but it's about upfront cash. I know in California they have a law that says, a certain amount they can pay upfront. I know when it comes to pools, that's a law, but it's not, it could be whatever it is here. What would you tell people who lose money, and we've got a couple examples here, who give money and then the people don't show back up? What would you say about the upfront money?
It's just a bad practice. A good licensed contractor has the liquidity to be able to operate multiple jobs at the same time and not need a substantial amount down.
Substantial being, well, I mean, should it be less than 20%? Okay, I'll say this. I think it should be less than 20%. All right, it should be a little bit amount of money. I know you probably can't say that, and maybe
by law, there's no other than swimming pool contractors. There's no definitive law on how much, but certainly a small down payment.
Credit card would be great.
Credit card
rather than cash. Yes,
that offers you a level of protection that you wouldn't get with cash, and also. It also tells you a lot about your contractor. Do they have the wherewithal to accept a credit card payment? Some of these folks that are working just off the cuff don't have the ability or wherewithal to take a credit card payment. So that's a pretty big red flag in and of itself.
Okay. I guess we'll end here. Anything else you guys we didn't talk about, or anything you want to get across that?
No, thank you again for having us on, and just a reminder to all your listeners that we're here to help. They have a question, they're evaluating potential companies, to please reach out to us. We never want them to make a hurried decision or feel that they're pressured into signing a contract. We want to make sure that they're doing their research. If they're having trouble finding a particular company, please reach out to us.
So in some of these situations, if they feel pressured, take a step back.
Absolutely.
Don't do it. Think about it. Go to you guys.
Absolutely.
Hey, does this sound right? Or look at your website, azroc.gov, and check it out. Yep. Kind of a breath, because I think that's when people get into trouble, when they have to act quickly.
Quick decisions.
Absolutely.
Quick decisions.
You're going to get this price today, and only today.
Yep.
Wow.
That pressure technique is a well-known tactic used by scammers.
All sorts of scammers.
All industries.
Yeah.
I like to say, if it's three-legged stool, licensure is the most important. Hiring a licensed contractor is the most important. Going to Better Business Bureau to find out if their members, are they in good standing with the BBB. But I also like to refer folks to construction associations. If they're a member of a construction association, they have an investment in their trade, in their industry, that says something about that company. And you'll find a lot of the really good performers in that scope are members of a broader community of providers.
Okay. Guys, that was great. I think we've done a lot here, so hopefully we helped you guys out. Tom Cole, Cindy Cassouse with the director and assistant director with the Arizona Register of Contractors. Thank you guys for being here. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
The website is azroc.gov. Got all the information there. Our website is bbb.org to check reviews, scam track reports, jonowsbetter.com to find out more about different scams and things that are going on. And we'll see you next time.